Your phone can still look perfectly fine. The screen lights up, the battery is charged. Your photos, apps, and messages are all still there. But the moment it says no SIM, the whole device suddenly feels different. It is still in your hand, still sleek, still expensive, and yet something essential is gone. That is what makes the SIM card so strange. It is easy to ignore, easy to lose, and small enough to vanish on a table. But without it, a smartphone starts to feel less like a phone and more like a glowing brick. So what exactly is a SIM card? And why can something so small matter more than the device built around it? To understand that, we have to begin with a common misunderstanding: what your phone is and what the network actually sees. Let's get into it right here on Secrets of Simple Things. Your phone is not your identity. Most people naturally treat the phone itself as the thing that represents them. It holds their number, their contacts, their habits, their daily routine, so it feels reasonable to assume that the network sees the device the same way. But it does not. To the mobile network, the phone is mainly the tool in your hand. The glass, the camera, the brand name, even the model itself do not tell the network who you are. What matters more is the subscriber identity linked to your SIM. That is why your number can follow you from one phone to another when you move the SIM across. It is also why a broken phone does not automatically mean a lost number. If the SIM survives, your mobile identity can move with it. Once you notice that, the SIM stops looking like a minor accessory. It starts to look like the tiny object that lets the network recognize you at all. So if the SIM carries your mobile identity, what is actually inside it? What a SIM card really is. SIM stands for Subscriber Identity Module, but the name sounds more technical than the object feels. In everyday life, it looks like a simple piece of plastic with a pattern of metal contacts. The important part, though, is not the plastic, it is the chip inside. That chip stores information that helps identify you as a subscriber and lets your phone join a mobile network. In that sense, a SIM is not the brain of the phone. It is closer to a secure identity card, something the device presents when it tries to connect. Years ago, SIM cards often felt even more personal because they could hold part of your phone life as well. Contacts were sometimes saved there. In some cases, text messages were too. Today, most of that lives elsewhere. But the core role of the SIM has stayed the same. It helps answer one basic question for the network: who is trying to connect? But recognition is only half the story. A network does not just need to know who you claim to be, it also needs a reason to trust that claim. The secret a SIM carries. Inside the SIM is a key piece of subscriber identity, often called the IMSI, short for International Mobile Subscriber Identity. The name matters less than the idea. It is a unique identity record inside the mobile system, a way to tell one subscriber from millions of others. You can think of it almost like a passport inside the world of mobile networks, but that still is not enough. A network cannot rely only on a label. If it could, pretending to be someone else would be far too easy. So the SIM also stores security keys, protected information used to confirm that the subscriber asking for access is genuine. That is part of what helps prevent fraud and unauthorized access. In other words, the SIM does not simply say, "This is me," it also has to help prove it. That is what makes the card more than a bit of memory and more than a name tag. It is part of a trust system. It may look tiny, but it quietly holds access to one of the most important systems in daily life. And that leads to one of the strangest things about phones. Every time they connect, a silent little test happens in the background. The invisible handshake. When you turn on your phone, it does not instantly become part of the network around it. First, it searches for a nearby cell tower and sends a request to connect. But the network does not simply open the door. Instead, a hidden exchange begins. The network checks the subscriber information tied to the SIM and sends a kind of challenge. The SIM uses the protected data inside it to generate the right response. If the answer matches what the network expects, access is granted, calls can go through, texts can be sent, mobile data begins to work. If the answer is wrong, access is denied. From the outside, none of this looks dramatic, and yet something important has taken place. A quiet challenge and response, a small handshake between your device and the network. It happens in moments, too fast to notice. That may be the most SST part of the whole story. One of the most important checks in everyday digital life keeps happening all around us, and most of us never see it at all. That hidden role is easy to miss now, especially because the SIM used to feel more visible in everyday life than it does today. When a SIM held more of your life, there was a time when the SIM card felt much less invisible. On older phones, it often stored part of your contact list, and sometimes your text messages too. Swapping phones did not just mean keeping your number, it could mean carrying over names, conversations, and familiar pieces of your routine. Today, that feeling has changed. Photos stay on the device. Contacts often sync through an account. Messages, apps, and backups are usually tied to cloud services instead of the small card in the tray. So one side of the SIM's old everyday role has faded, but its central job never disappeared. It still matters for the same deep reason it always did, not because it stores your whole digital life, but because it tells the network who is allowed in. If that role stayed so consistent, why did the SIM itself keep changing shape? Why the SIM kept getting smaller. The first SIM cards were much larger than the ones most people remember. In the 1990s, a SIM could be about the size of a bank card. Later came the mini SIM, then the micro SIM, and finally, the nano SIM that feels almost too small to hold comfortably. What changed was not the SIM's purpose so much as the amount of plastic around it. The truly important part was always the chip. As phones became smaller and thinner, the extra plastic started to look wasteful. The card kept shrinking, but the essential function stayed with it. That is what makes the evolution of the SIM so interesting. It did not need to become larger to become more powerful. It became smaller because its role had become more specific. It had one job, and the industry learned how little space that job actually needed. And once the plastic around it kept shrinking, the next obvious question appeared. What if the card itself disappeared? The moment the card starts disappearing, that question leads naturally to the eSIM, or embedded SIM. Instead of existing as a removable card, the SIM is built directly into the device. You do not pop it out with a pin or slide it into a tray. The subscriber profile can be loaded through software. In one sense, that sounds like a major leap. In another, it is simply the next logical step. If the real job of the SIM is secure identity and access, then it does not have to remain a separate piece of plastic forever. That shift creates practical advantages too. It can make switching carriers more flexible in some situations, and it helps smaller connected devices such as watches, tablets, and even some cars join mobile networks without needing a traditional SIM slot. But the most interesting part is not just that the technology changed, it is that a familiar object is gradually becoming invisible. The thing we used to remove, replace, and occasionally lose is fading from sight, even while its purpose remains. And that may be the strangest part of the whole story. As the SIM becomes less visible, its real meaning becomes easier to see. What a SIM card has really been all along. It is easy to assume that the phone in your pocket is the thing that connects you to the world. It holds your photos, your apps, your conversations, and so much of your day. But from the point of view of the mobile network, the more important object has often been the SIM. That is what allows your number to stay with you when you change phones. It is part of what makes international roaming possible when you travel. And that is why losing a SIM can feel oddly disruptive. You are not just missing a tiny card, you are temporarily cut off from a system that knows how to route calls, texts, and data to you. Phones can be replaced, screens crack, batteries fade, models come and go. But subscriber identity still has to be recognized, authenticated, and allowed onto the network. And that is what the SIM card has really been all along. From a piece of plastic once large enough to resemble a bank card to a chip now small enough to almost disappear into an eSIM, it has kept doing the same quiet job, carrying identity through connection. Thank you for watching. If there is another everyday object you use all the time without really thinking about it, leave it in the comments. And if you enjoy looking at simple things from a new angle, like the video and subscribe for the next one.